Good morning, everyone. So, in our previous class, we have discussed about ion exchange chromatography, how it works, and what are the components and working principle. So now we are looking at classification of. Now you are looking at how to execute or how to install a column chromatography. Ion exchange chromatography. So the practical requirement. To construct an ion exchange chromatography, what we require. So first one is column material. So column, and the column is composed with which type of material and what are the dimensions. Dimension means length and diameter. Next type of ion exchange resin. So which ion exchange resin we have to select, and then packing of column. So packing of column, once the column is prepared, that means we have a stationary phase. And next then mobile phase, uh, and in that mobile phase what we use. So generally buffer is the compulsory. Without buffer we cannot go for mobile phase. And next, development of chromatogram. After introducing mobile phase, what happens? The chromatogram is developing means the separation of components takes places. It is also known as elution process. And then after elution, we collect elute, and then how to analyze the elute. Once the whole process is executed, then what happens? Our resin is no more longer for usage. So that means our ion exchange resin is exhausted. So again, if you want to use that one, you need to be regeneration of ion exchange resin. So after regeneration, again we can use this ion exchange resin for separation. Okay, so these are the major steps. First one is column, second one is type of resin, third one is packing of column, fourth one is mobile phase, fifth one is development of chromatogram, sixth one is analysis of elute, and seventh one is regeneration of resin. So let's see first one. So what column, what type of column? So composition of column, and then dimensions. So column used in this laboratory are made of with glass. So generally borax, silica glasses. In industries that are made of with either high quality of stainless steel or polymer, which are resistant to strong acids and alkali. So generally in our laboratory we use a column which is made of with glass, generally borax glass we take, or sometimes we can also use our burette also. But whereas in the industry, in case of industry, so these columns cannot be used. Why? Because they want to separate or they want to purify a huge amount of material or so reaction mixture. So at that time, so this glass cannot sustain with that weight. So at that time, they use a column which is made of steel or polymer. So which are withstand to high weight. Next, the dimensions. So generally, irrespective of its length, and we have one ratio. So this ratio between the length and diameter, and the length should be 20 is to 1, or else 20 is to 1 to 100 is to 1. Fire efficiency we can use. For that means industrial purpose, generally they go with this one, and in laboratory purpose we use these dimensions. Next type of ion exchange is the type of ions to be exchanged, cations or anions, nature of ions, whether they are strong or weak. So next, efficiency of the resin, and so to the efficiency of the resin generally depends on with the material, the size of material to which the ion exchange resin is made of. Okay. Next, ion exchange capacity. So this is ion exchange capacity is nothing but efficiency. So this efficiency, or you can say ion exchange capacity, generally we measure in terms of milligram, milli equivalent per grams. So it is the total ion exchange capacity in terms of the exchangeable functional groups, expressed as milli equivalents per gram of the ion exchange resin. So that means, so here see, we consider the weight of what ion exchange resin, and this milli equivalent means uh, per gram how many milli equivalents of functional groups. That means cations or anions exchange functional groups are present. So it gives. If we converted into the molecular weight, so this is in the milli exchange per grams. If you convert this into the its molecular weight, 1000 by equivalent weight. And particle size of the resin should be the porous or pericular. Particularly, generally we use porous. Why? Because in porous the size of this particle is 5 to 10 milligrams and its efficiency between 0.5 to 2. Whereas in pellicular size, the efficiency lies between 0.1 to 1. And the amount of cross-linking agent. So it is very, very important. When we have the cross-linking agent, then it affects the swelling nature. So when our resin properly swelled, what happens? Ion exchange capacity enormously increases. So if it is properly swelled, what happens? This value will be increased, capacity will be increased. Next, packing of the column. Third one is very, very important, packing of the column. So generally in our column chromatography, we have studied about this one. So packing of the column two types. So that is wet method, and second one is dry method. So here also first one we look at wet packing method. So this is the resin. So generally what we do, this resin will be dissolved in our mobile phase, thereby we can get a slurry, and that slurry will be introduced into the column. So after that, what we do, we keep aside or we subject it to the heating. So thereby that whatever resin present in the column, that is that become hardened, set properly, it sets, and it also fixed to the column proper. And next one, mobile phase, selection of mobile phase. So generally our mobile phases generally in previous class we have seen the selection of mobile phase generally by following Saitla. So by following SEITH. Saitla, according to C triangle, we can select our mobile phase. Selection of mobile phase generally depends on the nature of chemical nature of solvent, and also the chemical nature of components which are to be separated. So on the basis of these two things, what we do, our mobile phase will be selected. So generally the mobile phase may contain organic solvents are less useful and they are not used at all. So only organic solvents cannot be useful, but only the strength of acid and alkalis and buffers are used in as eluting agent. So that means strong acids, strong alkali, and buffer solutions. So what are buffer? Buffer is a solution to which if we add a little amount of acid or base, then what happens? The pH of that solution remains constant. It doesn't change. So such solutions are known as buffers, and here we have acid buffer and basic buffers. So generally we use this one. So strength here see alkali, that to be acids. Which type of acid? Only strength of acid. That means a strong acid is HCl, hydrochloric acid, and concentration of that one is 0.1 normal. And strength of alkali means strong bases here in NaOH. And buffer, which type of buffer? Phosphate buffer, acetate buffer. The phosphate buffer, the pH is somewhat around 7, and acetate buffer is pH value is around 3.4, and borate buffer also a similar type. And next, development of chromatograph and elution. So once our column is prepared, then what we do on the surface of our column, we introduce the reaction mixture which is to be separated. After introducing the reaction mixture at the surface of the stationary phase or column, what we do, what happens, due to the differential absorption extents or differential absorption affinities between the ions are between ions and adsorbent. Here adsorbent is our ion exchanger. What happens? Ion exchange takes place, and the ion which is exchanged with the stationary phase, or we can say ion exchanger, so it will be remained or intact or bind firmly with the stationary phase. And the ion which is counter ions, that means the ion of exchanger, and as well as the remaining ion will be diffused and percolated. Next, after that, what happens after after some time of introduction of stationary phase? Then what we do, we introduce a mobile phase. So thereby what happens? The elution process, that means the separation process, will be uh, hastened or properly takes place. So this again, what happens? The second exchange is known as reversible exchange takes places. So the ion which is attached to the cation of a reaction mix of Our reaction mixture sample which is attached to stationary phase, or you can say ion exchanger, so that will exchange with a similar charge of ion of mobile phase. So here see, after introduction the sample, the development of the chromatography is done by using different mobile phases. As mentioned earlier, organic solvents are less useful and only solids, alkali and buffer of different pHs are used. And there are two type of elution techniques. One is isocratic elution. In that isocratic elution, what we do, we use only one type of solvent, that is same solvent of acid or alkali or buffer. But only one, either acid or alkali or buffer. So such elution process are known as isocratic. And gradient elution means, in that gradient elution again we can use one after one, or you can use a proportion of these three. In gradient elution technique, initially less acidic or less basic character is used, followed by increasing the acidity or basicity of the mobile phase. So here, what we do, we use more than one acids or bases. So we introduce less strength of acid or base, followed by increasing the strength of acid and base. This elution technique is usually used for complex mixture. So complex mixture means when our reaction mixture contains more than similar cations or more than one similar anions. At that time, we go with gradient elution. The different fraction of elements is collected volume wise or time wise and analyzed. So volume wise means what we do. So 10 ml of eluate or 10 ml of eluate, like that. Or time wise means after 2 minutes or after 4 minutes, like that. So this is the elution process, schematic diagram of this elution process. This is stationary phase. Stationary phase is nothing but our ion exchanger, and this is what our eluent. So before introducing the eluent, what we have introduced the reaction mixture. After some time, we introduce mobile phase. When we introduce the eluent or mobile phase, what happens? The separation will be speeded up, and the components which are separated first, that is known as eluate, we collect different fractions of eluate with respect to volume or with respect to time gradient. So here we collected eluents volume wise or time wise. Next, the eluent, the substance which is used as a solvent. This is solvent, mobile phase. Elute means this one. Okay, this is elution process. Next, during this elution, what happens? The more highly charged molecules are more tightly bonded to the resin. Here, see, this elution process, that means these bindings. The bindings means exchange, or you can say binding. The exchange is influenced by the charge of ions or size of ions, pH, acidic medium, basic medium, etc., etc. Or you can say pH, buffer, nature of the pH of the buffer. So all these are collectively known as influencing factors on the ion exchange process. So here see, the more highly charged molecules are tightly bound to the resin. So that means if our reaction mixture, or if we have different ions in our reaction mixture, say for suppose it is highly charged, that means +3, and this is +2, or the and second one +1. So what happens, the highly charged will be firmly bind with negatively charged portion of resin. Okay, and the moderately charged molecule. So for suppose here in this our reaction mixture, we have positive +3, +2, and +1. So +3 is this one, it is firmly bound with resin, and +2 that is moderately bound with this resin, and +1 that is lessly bonded or bind to the stationary phase. So thereby these different affinities towards the stationary phase. What happens? This highly tightly bounded or binded, that will remain at the almost top of resin, and moderately binded to the resin, that will be percolate or diffuse or transfers, travel some distance, and loosely will travel more distance. When we introduce the elution, mobile phase or elution, so then what happens? So first we collect this one, after some time we collect this one, after some time, and lastly we collect this one. Okay, so this is the way of working principle of chromatography, ion exchange chromatography. Next, analytes of the elute. So analysis of, it is not analytes of the elute, analysis of elute you can say. And the several methods of analysis can be used depending on the nature and the quantity of the sample. So that means what type of analyte we have collected, or the quantity, how much amount of analyte we have collected as elute. So we can use spectrophotometric method. By using spectrophotometric method, we can use qualitative, we can analyze quantitative as well as qualitative analysis. Holographic method and conductometric method, amperotropic method, flame photometric method, radio chemical method. So these are generally uh, automated methods. Automated method. So the automated method means, so see whatever eluate collected here. So again that will be connected to a detector and followed by a recorder. Okay, so that is automated ion exchange chromatography. In that automated ion exchange chromatography, these are the detectors. These are the detectors. We can use our ion exchange chromatography may be connected either of one. And next, once the completion of this process, what happens? This ion exchanger will be attached to whom cation of a mobile phase. So that means when if we introduce the reaction mixture, then what happens again? Ion exchange cannot be taken place. So again, we need to be recharge this. So recharge this. So that means during the regeneration or recharge, what we do? So whatever cation of mobile phase attached to the resin, or whatever mobile phase of ion attached to the resin, that should be replaced with either Na plus, or we can say Cl minus. So that process again, what we do, we recharge or regenerate the ion exchange. The regeneration refers to the replacement of the exchangeable cations or anions present in the original resin. So original resin means after ion exchange, what happens? Our resin will be attached to either cation or anion of mobile phase. So we need to be replace this one. So unless we cannot be use this one for next or further. So hence regeneration of the cation exchange resin is done by charging the column with strong acid like HCl or strong base like NaOH. Okay. So here's a cation. For cation exchange resin, we need to be recharged with HCl. So what happens? The whatever cation that is bonded or attached to the resin, that will be replaced with H plus of acid. If we are regenerating anion, so whatever anion of mobile phase that is attached to the original resin, that will be replaced with OH minus. Okay, so this is the regeneration. Next, so very important one, the factors affecting the ion exchange separation. So ion exchange separation, this is ion exchange separation, ion exchange, or you can say separation. So the separation is influenced by various factors like nature of properties of ion exchange resin. So ion exchange resin means whether it is alkali, acidic or basic, and size, etc., etc. And nature of ion exchanging ions. Ion exchanging ions means when we are separating cations or anions. That's it. So first point is nature and properties of ion exchange. The cross linking and swelling is very important factor. So in previous slide we have discussed about the nature of ion exchanger. If our suitable exchanger, characteristic property of ion exchanger, if we select with porous or pellicular uh, ion exchange resin, so that material has more ion exchangeable capacity or efficiency. And next one, very important one is our resin should have more number of cross linkages. If it has more number of cross linkages, then what happens? It will be properly swelled. If it is properly swelled, at that time only ion exchange capacity will be increased. Okay, see. So cross linking and swelling is the important factor which depends on the proportion of cross linking agent and agent is and polystyrene. When more cross-linking agent is present, they are more rigid but swells less. You can see, if you have more, if we use more cross-linking agent, so generally what we do, we mix this cross-linking agent to the resin. If we mix more amount of cross-linking agent with resin, then what happens? Our resin becomes more rigid. So if it becomes more rigid, then it cannot be swell properly. So when swelling is less, ubatum, swelling to ubatum, the separation of different sizes is difficult. So different sizes means, see, the size of cation and ions. So generally, if it is carrying more positive charge, that is less size. If it is any ion, if any cation which carries less charge, that means more size. Reverse to the anions. So that means if we are separating different sizes of ions, that is very very difficult when our resin is not properly swelled, and as they cannot pass through the porous present, and it becomes selective to ion of different sizes. So here see, if it is less swelled, that what happens, the gaps, I will show you. So already we shown in somewhere else. Here see, here see. So these are the gaps. These are the gaps. So this is resin. If these resins are don't have adequate amount of cross-linking agents, then what happens? The gaps are porous. This size will be more, and when the size is more or gap is more, then what happens? These ions easily percolates. This will be diffuses very fastly. So at that time, what happens? The separation becomes very very difficult. So to avoid that, we need to be add adequate amount of cross-linking agent, and thereby we can get proper swelling. Next, nature of exchangeable ions. So first one influencing factor is nature and property of ion exchange. Second one is nature of exchanging ions. Here see, first one is valency of ions, size of ions. So valency, size, both are relevant, and polarizability. The first three are very very similar to each other. One overlaps with other. So valency of ions means whether it can, for example, if we consider positive charge or cations, +1, +2, +3. So when it has more valency, that means +3, the more charge means less size. More charge means less size. So less size means more polarizability. Got it? So reverse in case of anions, if it is carry less charge, -1, -2, -3. So for example, F minus, O minus 2, N minus 3. Out of these three anions, F minus is smaller than O minus 2, and O minus 2 is smaller than N minus 3. So valency, as valency increases in case of anions, size increases. Whereas in case of cations, the valency is reciprocal to the size. Now when this cation valency, that means Na plus, Mg plus to Al plus 3. Both are belongs to same period. So Na plus is larger than Mg plus 2, Mg plus 2 is larger than Al plus 3. So reverse. So as the valency increases, what happens? It influences the size as well as polarizability. And next one, concentration of the solution. So this is very very important. So if the concentration of the solution is here, see, next, okay, we will see how the size and valencies matters. Nature of ion is an important factor in the ion exchange phenomenon. Charge of ion, the radius and the concentration and the affinity of different ions influence the equilibrium of distribution coefficient. So that means at once we are discussing this first A to D. Okay. At low aqueous concentration. So when we have less concentration, aqueous concentration. Here see, we need to remember or recall one thing, salvation. So we have discussed this solvalysis in non-aqueous solution, salvation and solvalysis. So salvation is what? One of ion of a solvent reacts with analyte. Solvalysis, solvolysis, salvation. Salvation means whole solvent molecule reacts with or combines with analyte. That is salvation. Solvolysis means lysis, one part or one portion of molecule attach or reacts with analyte. So, but here we consider what? Salvation. So salvation means here which solution we are using? We are using water. So when we are using water, that salvation is known as hydration. Hydration means what? The water molecule will associate with ion. The hydration is inversely proportional to the size of ion. So see, the size of ion is less, then what happens? Hydration is more. When the hydration is more, the size of hydrated ion is more. So for example, if you in absence of solvent, this is the what the size increasing order, we can say increasing order of the size. So Na plus is smaller than Ag plus 2, Ag plus 2. So if you consider this, but in case of water, in presence of water, that means what happened? The Na plus is smaller, so that's why it can attract or pull more number of water molecules. Thereby, it can associate with more number of water molecules. Thereby, the size of hydrated Na plus ion is more than size of hydrated Ca plus 2. Okay. So when the hydrated ion size is more, then what happens? That influence the percolation. So here, at low aqueous concentration and at ordinary temperature, the extent of exchange increases with the increasing charge of the exchanging ions. So in case of low aqueous, so that means here the hydration is less. So in case of hydration less, so what happens? As increasing the charge, as the charge increases, what happens? Affinity, polarizability also increases. So when the charge is increases, if you recall the Soddy-Fison law, you already studied in intermediate first year. So according to Soddy-Fison law, what happens? As the charge of cation increases, the affinity to formation of electrostatic bond is more. So electrostatic bond means the bond, ionic bond forms between oppositely charged ions. So our ion exchange resin has negative charge and it will be easily react or combines with more positively charged ions. So it is more charged ions. So that's why it will exchange or it will firmly binds with what? Resin. So here H plus of resin is readily replaced with the thorium plus 4, then plus 3, then plus 2, then plus 1 at low concentration. This scenario at low concentration. So this is increasing order of the ion exchange. But under similar condition and constant charge extent. So under similar condition, so that means low aqueous concentration at the same temperature. When we have different ions of same charge, all contains or carries positive charge. So at that time, so this is the increase. Then what happens when we have similar charges? At that time, what happens? The hydration takes place. So hydration cations, here the size of hydration cations. Hydration means what? Just now I told you, association of water molecules with ion. So the more number of water molecules, so hydration is inversely proportional to the charge size. If size of cation is less, then what happens? It more number of water molecules will be associated. As a result of hydrated ion, the size is more. The size of resulted hydrated ion is more. For example, lithium ion, it is the smallest among all these. So due to smaller charge, it may associate with more number of water molecules. As a result, the size of lithium hydrated ion is more than hydrogen, than this. So the thallium, TL, actually it is maybe thallium. So thallium size is more. So due to more size, it may associate with less number of water molecules. So as a result, the size of hydrated thallium is less. So that's why it is less size. So then what happens? It easily exchange with positive charge of resin. Okay. So monovalent ion relative affinity increases in the following. Okay. Lithium is held least strongly on the resin while the thallium is held most strongly. Why? Because hydrated size of hydrated ion of lithium is more. The size of hydrated ion of thallium is less. And next, for doubly charged, so cadmium plus to barium plus to magnesium. So this scenario changes from depends on charge. So here in previous case, unicharged one positive charge, same single charge, single positive charge. But in case of doubly charged, the ionic size and the incomplete dissociation of the salts are important factor in determination of relative affinity. Next, strongly basic ion exchanges. In the extent of ion exchange of singly charged anions. Anions, here in the case of anions, here see again, which comes? hydrated ion size. Hydrated ion size. So small size, more hydration, resulted ion hydrated ion size is more. I minus is has more size than F minus, but due to more size of I minus, it may associate with a less number of water molecules. As a result, the size of hydrated I minus is less. Okay, next one, concentration and charge of ions. If the resin has higher positive charges, so that means in case of SO3H, and solution has low positive charge. So that means our separated ion has low positive charge, less body. Exchange is favored at higher concentration. Why? Because our exchangeable charge is higher, so counter ion charge is higher, and exchangeable ion charge is less. At that time, we need to be take more concentration of exchangeable ions. If the resin has low positive charge, in case of COOH, and solution has highly positive reverse. So, for example, Al plus 3. So here in first case SO3H, and we are separating Na plus. So at that time charge is less, our Na plus ion charge is less, and here H plus charge is higher. Okay, so at that time higher concentration. In opposite case, everything is reversible. If the resin has lower charge, means COH, carboxylic resins, and the charge of separation ion, and Al plus 3, or you can say thallium plus 4, charge is more. At that time, exchange is favored at low concentration. Okay, so these are the influencing factors, and already this one is we discussed about. Okay, application. So where we use this ion exchange chromatography. So generally, the conversion from one salt to another salt. Example, we can prepare a tetrapropyl ammonium hydroxide from a tetrapropyl salt from some other anions. So the conversion of salts from one form to another form. We use this one. And next, household, laundry detergent and water filters. So to produce soft water. So ion exchange, our domestically use ion exchange, water purifiers. And next, ion exchange is also used to deionize water. So generally we use this in distillation tanks, distillation uh, plants, distilled water without minerals, and separated and purify of metals, particularly in metallurgy. Dealkalization, alkalization means the removing of basic nature, analysis and purification of immunoglobulin. So generally we use this in pathology labs, and separation of inorganic ions. Let's see one by one. Water softening, ion exchange. So water softening. So again, water softening means hard water. Two types: soft water, hard water. So what is soft water? The water which gives more lethal with soap, అంటే నురుగ, సబ్బుతో ఎక్కువ నురుగనిస్తే సాఫ్ట్ వాటర్ అంటాం. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ river water, rain water. And next, hard water, the water which gives less lethal with soap. That is hard water, bore water, for example, bore water. And hardness of water, two types: temporary hardness, permanent hardness. So temporary hardness means which can be removed or eradicated by heating the water, and permanent hardness of water which cannot be eradicated by heating of water. అంటే మనం నీళ్ళని వేడి చేస్తే టెంపరీ హార్డ్నెస్ అనేది వెళ్ళిపోతుంది. నీటిని వేడి చేసిన టెంపరీ హార్డ్నెస్ వెళ్ళిపోకపోతే దాన్ని పర్మనెంట్ హార్డ్నెస్ అంటాం. సో ఇళ్లలో మనం ఒక గిన్నెను వాడతాం. Separately we exclusively we use one bowl for the warming water. So if you look at the inside of that bowl, you can find a formation of a scale. ఒక పొర ఏర్పడి ఉంటుంది, తెల్లని పొర ఉంటుంది దాని మీద. అంటే ఒకటే గిన్నెని మనం ఫ్రీక్వెంట్గా వాటర్ని వేడి చేయడానికి వాడినప్పుడు ఆ గిన్నె లోపల మనకు ఒక స్కేల్ అంటే ఒక తెల్లని పొర ఉంటుంది. ఆ పొర ఎంత గీకినా రాదు, అందుకే దాన్ని స్కేల్ అంటాం. సో అదేంటిది అంటే టెంపరీ హార్డ్నెస్, అంటే వాటర్లో ఉన్న టెంపరీ హార్డ్నెస్ని కలగజేసేది బైకార్బోనేట్స్ ఏమవుతాయంటే హీట్ చేసినప్పుడు అవి కార్బోనేట్స్గా మారిపోతాయి. కార్బోనేట్స్ ఏమవుతాయి వాటర్లో ఇన్సాల్యుబుల్, కరగవు, అవి ఏమవుతాయి కింద సెటిల్ అవుతాయి. అది టెంపరీ హార్డ్నెస్, పర్మనెంట్ హార్డ్నెస్. సో హార్డ్నెస్ ఆఫ్ వాటర్ ఇస్ డ్యూ టు ది ప్రెసెన్స్ ఆఫ్ కాల్షియం అండ్ మెగ్నీషియం ions, అంటే salts. Okay, these ions are removed by passing the water through the cation exchange with Na+. అంటే మనం ఇంతకుముందే చెప్పుకున్నాం, X డాష్ COO మైనస్ అండ్ Na+. అంటే కార్బాక్సిలిక్ యాసిడ్ ఉన్న రెజిన్ కి ఏం చేస్తాం, దాన్ని సాల్ట్ ఫామ్ లో తీసుకుంటాం. సాల్ట్ ఫామ్ అంటే Na+. ఈ Na+ ఎవరిని ఎక్స్చేంజ్ చేస్తుంది, Ca+ టు Mg+2. సో ఇట్లా దీన్ని వాటర్ సాఫ్టనింగ్ అంటాం. డీమినరలైజేషన్ అంటే వాటర్ లో ఉన్న ఎనీ అయాన్ అంటే క్యాటయాన్ కావచ్చు, యానియన్స్ కానీ తీసివేయటాన్ని డీమినరలైజేషన్ అంటాం. సో దాన్ని మనం డిస్టిల్ వాటర్ అంటాం. సో ఇదేమో సాఫ్టనింగ్ ఆఫ్ వాటర్, అంటే ఇక్కడ ఓన్లీ కాల్షియం మెగ్నీషియం తీసేస్తాం, మిగతా ఉండొచ్చు, అంటే మిగతా క్యాటయాన్స్ అండ్ మిగతా యానియన్స్ ఉండవచ్చు. But whereas in demineralization, all minerals, and all mineral means all ions, irrespective of their charge, all ions will be removed. So our water may contain only H plus and OH minus. Out of this, that doesn't contain any cation or anion or any, in short, we can say any mineral. So water is first passed through the acidic column, acidic cationic ion exchange. So by means of acidic cation exchanger, what happens? All cations, whatever present in water, will be removed and followed by anion exchange. So this anion exchanger will remove whatever anions present in water. So thereby our water contain only H plus and OH. Neutralization. So neutralization ante dantlo emana alkali acid gani base gani unte dani neutralization. So cation exchanger in H plus can be used as a neutralizing alkali hydroxide and anion exchanger to form the neutral. Okay. Next, separation of similar ions from one another. అంటే ఇంతకు ముందే చెప్పుకున్నాము, లిథియం ప్లస్ సోడియం ప్లస్ పొటాషియం ప్లస్ అంటే సిమిలర్ చార్జ్ ఉన్న అయాన్స్ ని సపరేట్ చేయడం. సో ఎట్ దట్ టైమ్ వాట్ వి డూ, అక్కడ గ్రేడియంట్ ఎల్యూషన్ యూజ్ చేస్తాం. సార్ ఓకే, లెట్స్ the separation is obtained because of different ions undergo exchange reaction to different extent. So ఇక్కడ ఇంతకు ముందే చెప్పుకున్నాం కదా, exchange capacity depends on the size of hydrated ions. Okay. సో ఇక్కడ లో కాన్సన్ట్రేషన్, లో aqueous concentration తీసుకుంటే ఏమవుతుంది, ఇట్ విల్ హ్యావ్ మోర్ ఎక్స్చేంజింగ్ కెపాసిటీ దెన్ దిస్, ఫాలోడ్ బై దిస్, అంటే బై చేంజింగ్ ది కండిషన్స్. And anions also. The separation of alkalides and other nitrogenous substances from the complex such as crude extract. అంటే నీటి మొక్క కషాయంలో ఏముంటాయి మనకు, phytochemicals ఉంటాయి. Those phytochemicals can be separated by means of this chromatography. Next, separation of metals from the mixture and separation of organic and inorganic salts. So these are the few separation applications of separation. Next, separation of amino acids. So already we have seen one example in that amino acids may have we have three types of amino acids: acidic amino acid, basic amino acid, neutral amino acids. Next, separation of pure reagent and determination of concentration of trace ions. So concentration ante qualitative analysis, quantitative analysis, separation of electrolytes from non-electrolytes, separation of carbohydrates and their derivatives. So all these are applications of ion exchange chromatography. Okay, so with this we have completed push cut